Family, welcome back. We're reading the book titled Thomas Jefferson, The Art of Power. It was a #1 New York Times bestseller and winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So I think it'd be good to read it with you. And let's dig in. I know a lot about the Founding Fathers, but it's good to refresh our memory. Okay, we're on page 6. Peter Jefferson had married very well, taking a bride from Virginia's leading family. In 1739, he wed Jane Randolph, a daughter of Isham Randolph, a planter and sea captain. Born in London in 1721, Jane Randolph was part of her father's household at Dungeness, in Goochland County, a large establishment with walled gardens. Ooh, the top society. The Randolph family traced its colonial origins to Henry Randolph, who emigrated from England in 1642. Marrying a daughter of the Speaker of the House of Burgess, Henry Randolph thrived in Virginia, holding office in Henrico County and serving as clerk of the House of Burgess. Returning home to England in 1669, he apparently prevailed on a young nephew, William, to make the journey to Virginia. William Randolph, Thomas Jefferson's great-grandfather. Okay, we gotta remember that. William Randolph thus came to the New World at some point between 1669 and 1674. Accounts differ. He too rose in Virginia with little delay, taking his uncle's place at Henrico Clerk and steadily acquiring vast acreage. An ally of Sir William Berkeley, the British governor, William Randolph soon prospered in shipping, raising tobacco, and slave trading. William became known for his family and seat on Turkey Island in the James River. That's a weird name of an island, Turkey Island? Which was described as a splendid mansion. Ooh, what does an unsplendid mansion look like, I'd say? A mansion, you're lucky to have it! With his wife, Mary Isham Randolph, the daughter of the master of a plantation called Bermuda Hundred. That's a plantation called Bermuda Hundred. William had 10 children, 9 of whom survived. Also only 1 died. The Randolphs are so numerous that they are obliged, like the clans of Scotland, to be distinguished by their places of residence, noted Thomas Anbury, an English visitor to Virginia in 1779-80. As the Randolph historian Jonathan Daniels noted, there was William of Chatsworth, Thomas of Tuckahoe. That sounds like Smackahoe. Sir John of Tazewell Hall, William Berg, Richard of Curl's Neck. What a weird name. Henry of Longfield, Edward of Bremo, and there was Isham of Dungeness, who was Jefferson's maternal grandfather. As captain and merchant, Jefferson's grandfather moved between the New and Old Worlds about 1717. He married an Englishwoman, Jane Rogers, who was thought to be a pretty sort of woman. They lived in London and at their Goochland County estate in Virginia. In 1737, a merchant described Thomas Jefferson's grandfather's family as a very gentle, well-dressed people. Jefferson's mother, Jane, was a daughter of this house and had an apparent sense of pride in her British ancestry. Oh, Tita, British ancestry. She was said to have descended from the powerful Scotch Earls of Murray, connected by blood or alliance with many of the most distinguished families in the English and Scottish peerage, and with royalty itself. The family of William Byrd II. He was to build Westover, a beautiful Georgian plantation mansion on the James River south of Richmond. Had greater means than the Jeffersons, but the description of a typical day for Byrd in February 1711 gives a sense of what life was like for the Virginian elite in the decades before the birth of Thomas Jefferson. Okay, so I guess this is like maybe his little journal that we're going to read of this? William Byrd. Okay. In the 1711. Here we go. I rose at 6 o'clock and read 2 chapters in Hebrew and some Greek and Lucian. I said my prayers and ate boiled milk for breakfast. I danced my dance, exercised, and then went to the brick house to see my people pile the planks, and found them all idle, for which I threatened them soundly, but did not whip them. The weather was cold, and the wind at northeast. I wrote a letter to England. Then I read some English till 12 o'clock, when Mr. Dunn and his wife came. I ate boiled beef for dinner. In the afternoon, Mr. Dunn and I played at billiards. Then we took a long walk about the plantation and looked over all my business. At night, I ate some bread and cheese. That's like how I would write my schedule. But what's really weird is like, why does everything have to be boiled? Why do they like simmer for a long time? I hope it's not just like boiled partial way. Wow. Billiards, so pool. Played pool. Ate some bread and cheese. This is interesting. Whether in the tidewater regions closer to the Atlantic or in the forested hills of the Blue Ridge, the Virginia into which Jefferson was born offered lives of privilege to its most fortunate sons. Visiting Virginia and Maryland, an English traveler observed the youth of these more indulgent settlements are pampered much more in softness and ease than their neighbors more northward. Children were instructed in music and taught to dance, including minutes, and were called county dances. One tutor described such stunts as Nomini Hall, the Carter family estate roughly 100 miles east of Albemarle. The scene of young Virginians dancing, he said, was indeed beautiful to admiration. To see such a number of young persons set off by dress to the best advantage, moving easily to the sound of well-performed music and with perfect regularity. Well, that's weird. Blue Ridge. Okay, so Blue Ridge, the Virginia into which Jefferson is born, is, I guess, a pretty place of privilege, he's saying. Okay. Very simplistic schedule, no? So Isham of Dungeness, that's Jefferson's maternal grandfather. Remember the name Thomas of Ducko? So there, definitely wasn't the rag to riches story, but definitely a hard-working immigrant story, then later a pampered story, right? Wow. Okay, family, what do you think?